like to first off thank everyone for taking the time to attend this briefing, the primary goal of which is to increase the possibility of bringing the survivors and the victims' family members the justice and closure they deserve, and apprehending the person responsible for this tragic incident and loss of life. I am Chief of Police Jeff King, and I'll be providing a brief summary of the incident and a status of the investigation. Also, we'll be hearing from some of our law enforcement partners who have and continue to assist the Farmington Hills Police Department with the investigation and our attempts to apprehend the suspect. I'm joined today by members of the U.S. Marshals Service, Crime Stoppers, and members of the Farmington Hills Police Investigations Team and Administration. On the morning of August 13th, officers from the Farmington Hills Police Department responded to a residence on Concord Lane regarding a man who had been shot. Officers found the resident, a 40-year-old male, in his home with a gunshot wound to his chest. The victim, while being treated by officers, identified the person who shot him as Kevin Moore, a resident and friend from the city of Detroit. The victim continued to receive a life-sustaining measures and was transported to Beaumont, Farmington Hills, where he later sadly succumbed to his injuries. Investigators were able to identify additional information on the suspect, the victim's association with the suspect, and that the suspect had shot his girlfriend approximately 1 hour prior in a domestic disturbance in the city of Detroit. Our investigators performed exceptionally. They worked tirelessly gathering evidence and were able to obtain a warrant from the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office charging the suspect with first-degree premeditated homicide, felony firearm, and an MDOC probation violation. The victim's name is Jujuan White, a 40-year-old resident of our city. We ask that you please keep his family and friends in your thoughts and prayers as they try to navigate this tragic and senseless loss of life. The suspect has been identified as Kevin Curtis Moore. He is a 43-year-old African-American male resident of the city of Detroit. He's described as 6'1", 220 pounds, having a tattoo of a Chinese symbol on his right arm. He is also known as KC for Kevin Curtis. He is considered armed and dangerous, and we are reminding the public that you are not to approach or confront this suspect. The suspect vehicle is described as a 2006 Chevy Trailblazer bearing the Michigan license plate EKS 0786. Anyone with information on this suspect or his vehicle's location is asked to immediately call the U.S. Marshals Service or Crime Stoppers. As you see, there is a Crime Stoppers flyer that will be covered later by a representative from Crime Stoppers. And finally, I'd like to thank some of the law enforcement agencies that assisted us, specifically the Michigan Department of Corrections, the Detroit Police Department, the United States Marshals Fugitive Apprehension Team, the FBI, the Michigan State Police, the U.S. Secret Service, the Novi and West Bloomfield Police Departments, and the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, who provided a tactical team to execute 2 search warrants in the city of Detroit for us on Friday night. With that, I would like to introduce the U.S. Marshals Assistant Chief Deputy Joseph Abdullah.
Thank you, Chief King. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the press. I appreciate you coming out here and speaking with us today, even though it's under such dire circumstances. I'd like to explain to you our role in this investigation, and I would like to reiterate that our role is in tandem with the Farmington Hills Police Department. We are supporting them by conducting the fugitive apprehension investigation into this subject. We have a robust program of fugitive apprehension in the Marshal Service, and in the Eastern District of Michigan, we run one of the largest fugitive task forces in the United States today, the Detroit Fugitive Apprehension Team. In a few moments, I'll be turning that over to one of my colleagues who runs the Fugitive Apprehension Team. His name is Aaron Garcia, and he'll get more into the specifics of what actually is going on and what we would like to do. We are here today to ask the citizens to help us apprehend this individual who did this heinous crime. We work for the victims, and we are pledged to the Farmington Hills Police Department as our partners in this investigation, and we are asking the general public and you, the media, to assist us in bringing this to closure as soon as possible. We have a great relationship with law enforcement partners in the area here, and with the media, and with the citizens. The citizens can make a huge difference in this. You guys are really the game changer in all these investigations, and when you get involved and you communicate with us through the various means that we're going to speak about, we can resolve these things and make a safer community almost overnight. So my pledge is to the Farmington Hills, to the people of the communities here that are affected, and to the victims of the family. You have our complete support, Chief. I want you to know that until this comes to an end, we will not stop searching for this individual. So our resources are yours. We have a large team of people that are going to be conducting this investigation, and have been, until we get this thing to a closure. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Commander Aaron Garcia of the Detroit Fugitive Apprehension Team, who will speak about some of the different things that we have going on and get a little bit more in depth without kind of giving too much of what we're doing out there. So Aaron Garcia.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Aaron Garcia, and I'm the supervisor of the task force. As you heard, Kevin Curtis Moore, who goes by KC, he was involved, or we believe he was involved, according to investigation, in a shooting in Detroit with a victim, and then he goes to Farmington Hills and commits the fatal shooting where a warrant was issued. So Kevin Moore is not a stranger to law enforcement. He has a criminal history of home invasion and also assault, which he was convicted of. He was arrested multiple other times, but them cases were dismissed, or he wasn't convicted of them. So he did have a minor criminal history, nothing alarming to commit these violent crimes. But the bottom line is we need to get him off the street at this point. What we do know is he frequents the east side of Detroit. That's where his friends are. His associates are in the east side of Detroit. That's where he frequents. That's where we last believe he was at. We don't know where he is now. We know he has contacts and a lot of friends throughout the country. So this may turn out to a nationwide manhunt instead of just the state of Michigan. We have not found that target vehicle at all. Whether if he abandoned that or he still has it, we need to find that vehicle. That's very critical to this investigation. So if anyone's seen that vehicle, please give us a call. Call Crime Stoppers. We need to locate that vehicle. At this point, we have no reason to believe he ditched that vehicle, but I mean that's a possible as well. We believe he's possibly still in state, but we don't know at this point. We have some information that I'm not going to put out there, but our guys are working around the clock. We have teams working around the clock. Every tip, they're exhausting. They're available 24/7. We just need that one tip. And I tell Kevin Moore, you're going to get caught. If you want to do the right thing, just surrender. Call up the police department, call up Farmington Hills, call up the U.S. Marshals, call up Crime Stoppers. We'll gladly meet you with a team of guys. No problem. We'll walk you in. There's nothing wrong with that because you're going to get caught. You could come in and surrender, or we're going to have to find you. Whether it's in-state, out of country, we're going to pursue you till we locate you. So the best thing you could do is to come and surrender. And anybody out there who thinks they're helping him out or assisting him, just don't do it because, people will be charged with aiding and abetting and assisting and harboring if we find out that people are helping after the fact. Because it's very rarely that somebody could just take off and flee to avoid apprehension and just stay off the radar without getting help. So, do the right thing. Family members, friends, associates. If you know where he's at, just give us a call. Everything you say is strictly anonymous, or you can call Crime Stoppers Anonymous. We just need that one tip. We're going to find him. Our guys are the best there are. This is what they do every day, day in and day out. We got 60 plus 70 investigators who are, trained elite investigators. This is what they do every day. So best thing to do is surrender. If not, we'll find you. Please make that call. Chief.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Anthony Jones from Crime Stoppers to give some information on their organization and what they are providing.
Good afternoon. I just want to say to the public, especially those of you who know where your homeboy is, KC, silence is killing us. These individuals are able to roam from county to county because we do not speak up. So 1-800-SPEAK-UP is totally 100% anonymous. It is impossible for you to give your name. If you give your name on an initial call, we will not take your information. We know you're smart. You're going to call back. We're going to take your information and give you a tip number that you can utilize to always check on your tip. So the reward is up to $6,500 with Crime Stoppers of Michigan, where you will remain anonymous. KC, remember, your homeboy KC, they just told you, the marshals just told you, home invasion, assault. This is the kind of guy that will kick in your door and do whatever he wants to do to you. We need him off the street, and we need him off the street today. He is not able to hide alone. 1-800-SPEAK-UP. Or submit your tip on the web. 1-800-SPEAK-UP is our phone number. www.1800speakup.org is how you reach us on the internet. And again, our internet system is encrypted, so your IP address does not show up. You will not be identified in any way whatsoever. We don't want to know your name. You can collect your reward without being identified. You simply go where we tell you to go, ask for who we tell you to ask for, and tell them, I am tip number, for the sake of this conversation, ABC123. And the amount of money that you're there to pick up, and they will hand you cash money. Cash money. Not even the IRS will know that you picked up cash. You need to know these things. People are afraid for various reasons. You'll be surprised what we hear. But this you need to know. KC will be picked up wherever he is. Thank you.
Thank you. In closing, I just want to reiterate that we will catch this individual. One way or another, we will. And I would like to also just make a comment on the team that came in the middle of the night and worked this investigation. Assistant Chief Dan Rodriguez, Captain Andy Radzi, Sergeant Jason McDonald, and Sergeant Chad Double, Detective Matt Smith, and there was another detective, Dave Newcomb, that had to take the day off today. These gentlemen came in the middle of the night, responded, again, performed exceptionally, processed the scene, gathered evidence, and were able to quickly bring the evidence forward to the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office and acquire a warrant for this gentleman. We have been in contact with the victim's fiance and the victim's family member, and been keeping close contact with them and coordinating this event with them. And due to the ongoing portions of the investigation, we aren't going to be making any other comments at this time. But again, I want to thank everyone for coming here today and assisting us in getting this information out to the public and assisting us in capturing this dangerous felon. Thank you.
Can you take a couple of questions, though, at all in regard to specifically like the vehicle that it looked to be green?
It was green in color, a green Chevy Trailblazer, I believe 2006, and I gave the plate associated with that.
And I did hear you, but I wanted to ask, is there anything you can add about the relationship between the alleged shooter and the victim here as to how long they may have known each other, what he was doing over there, anything that you can provide as far as context?
They were lifelong friends, and that's it.
Can you say, understood if you can't say, answer question, but can you say how he made entry? Is it,
There was no entry made.
okay, so was the victim shot outside his house then, is it?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Was the victim shot outside?
The victim was
his
shot at the doorway,
And they were friends?
and they were friends.
house? Had they been together that evening, night, morning?
That is unknown, ma'am.
And was the girlfriend shot in Detroit?
The girlfriend of the suspect was shot in an incident in Detroit about an hour prior to our incident.
And is there a relationship between the girlfriend and the friend in Farmington Hills?
Due to the ongoing investigation, we can't comment on that.
What state is the girlfriend in?
I'm sorry?
What state is the girlfriend in?
She's hospitalized.
Do we know the time frame in between the shooting of the girlfriend?
Approximately an hour. We don't have an exact time frame, though.
Are you able to say if the two incidents are connected in some way beyond obviously the suspect's involvement? But,
At this time, we're not making any other comment on that.
okay.
Can you say, was it the victim that was able to call 911?
No, the victim came from another resident of the home.
The 911 call.
The 911 call
Oh, okay.
came from another resident inside the home,
Gotcha, inside the victim's home.
inside the victim's home.
And this guy was on parole, right?
I'm sorry?
He was on parole,
The suspect?
Suspect is on
Yes.
parole?
Probation.
For misdemeanor?
At this time, I don't know the exact charges, the way the court process worked that got him on that, but it's an MDOC probation violation warrant that was charge that was acquired.
And the victim in Detroit, she was still his current girlfriend?
I don't know, I'm not going to comment on the investigation that's going on in Detroit. That's a separate entity, but I can just say that that incident occurred associated with a suspect an hour prior to our incident in our city.
Can you speak to motive? Or
We're not speaking on motive at this time.
Were any words exchanged at the doorway?
There was conversation, but we don't know the extent of that.
And both the victim in Farmington Hills is the lifelong friend of Mr. Moore.
The suspect. The suspect and the Farmington Hills victim were friends.
Can you say anything at all about the motive? What the motive might have been for shooting?
We're not going to say anything about the motive right now, ma'am.
Can you give us the homicide victim's name again?
I'm sorry?
The
The homicide victim?
homicide.
Go back. DeJohn White.
Oh.
Dewan White, yep.
Totally missed that, hold on a second.
He passed away how long after the shooting? He was taken to a hospital and then died at the hospital?
Later that day.
Okay.
Can you tell us anything about Mr. White at this point? He's engaged, do you know anything about children, or is he from the area?
He was a resident of our city. 40-year-old male resident of our city, ma'am. Is that it?
One more, Mike?
One more.
Well, at least for me. I assume homicides in Farmington Hills don't happen often. Is this the first in a matter? Do you know how long it's been?
They're extremely rare in the city of Farmington Hills. We have a very safe community. We haven't had I don't want to give exacts, but there's been years since we've had our last homicide. I want to say 2 years, 2-3 years.
Thank you.
Does this guy have any, you said he has ties to the east side of Detroit and across the country?
Out of state, yes.
Any, is that for work, is that for?
I don't want to comment on that because that's part of the Marshals' ongoing investigation.
Can you say what line of work either Mr. White is in or the suspect is in?
At this point in the investigation, we're not going to comment on that either. So I'll take one more and that's it. Last one. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chief, can we just give the number for
Oh,
our
hold on 1 minute.
hotline real fast?
Go right ahead. Come on up.
So for the Marshal Service, for the Marshal Service, any tips coming into Marshal Service, our 24-hour line is 313-234-5656, 24/7, 313-234-5656. If they want to remain anonymous, obviously call Crime Stoppers, 1-800-SPEAK-UP.
Is there one agency heading this?
Well,
I know it's a collaboration.
it's a collaboration. It's our homicide out of Oakland County, but we could not be doing the advanced investigation that we are doing that is required to catch this suspect without the Marshal Service and without our law enforcement partners. Very rare one individual department can do something like this. It's a team effort, and that's what law enforcement's all about.
So technically a Farmington Hills case.
It's a Farmington Hills case, but the Marshal Service has stepped up and been a great partner in trying to apprehend this armed and dangerous suspect.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone.